Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's me, Crazyfrankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my Week 3 4 key game picks. Before we get into those picks, quick thoughts from week number 2. I don't think it should have come as any surprise to anybody who's a Patriots fan that the Patriots would get back on track. That was pretty obvious that they would. And then again, they were playing the New Orleans Saints. I mean, the Saints really aren't that good this year. They're just their offense, defense were terrible. This was a game that I knew the Patriots would get back on track fairly easy, but it did come at a little bit of a price, though. I mean, Ron Gronkowski had a groin injury in that game, and who knows if he may be out coming this Sunday in week number 3. But I know I mean the injuries are starting to pile up for the Patriots, but do I see it now as maybe a danger sign for the New England Patriots? Very tough to say right now. I mean, yeah, I mean, there is questions on both sides of the ball between the Patriots, but they're in a division where they're going to easily win it. I don't see any team in the AFC East that are going to dethrone them. I just don't think it's going to be a big issue in them. Other news around in week number 2. Dallas Cowboys, what happened to them? They got dismantled by Denver. That to me kind of came to me as a little bit of a surprise there. I mean, Trevor Siemian looked like he played like an elite quarterback, even though technically it's only his second game of the season for Denver. But really, I mean, you look at both sides of the ball for Denver, they really did a number on the Dallas Cowboys. Didn't the Denver Broncos expose the Cowboys' weaknesses? After one game, it may be too early to tell right now, but if somehow other teams were to get tape from what happened against the what happened with the Cowboys against the Broncos, there could be some trouble there. If there is actually some weaknesses on the Cowboys, then that tells you that this team could be one-dimensional. I mean, Derek Prescott didn't really have a good day in Denver. I mean, he really struggled, and I think he got intercepted twice in the game. But other than that, yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say if the Denver Broncos could be for real. And let's keep in mind, the Broncos in the AFC West, I mean, it's a very tough division where you got the Chiefs playing well as the Raiders. And don't get me started on the Chargers right now, because right now that team is a mess. Only 3 teams are competing except for one in that division. But really, yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's tough to say if Denver really is for real. Atlanta Falcons, they're really they played strong in their game against the Packers, but a little bit of questions on defense here. The defense really dominated the first half of that game, but in the second half, they really slowed down a little bit. Green Bay made it a game in the second half, but even though Atlanta's running game did a good job of preventing the Packers from getting the ball back in the end of the game. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if the Falcons, there's some questions on the defensive side, whether they are getting really fatigued out there. Almost exactly what happened last year in the Super Bowl when their defense got fatigued and they ended up losing to the Patriots. So, it's really tough to say going out of week number 2. Remember, this is the first few weeks of the regular season. It's going to probably have to wait maybe till later on in the season to really get a good, clear picture of who are contenders rather than pretenders. Other than that, everybody, let's just get into week number 3 and let me discuss the 4 key games here. Let us begin with key game number 1. It is the Atlanta Falcons versus the Detroit Lions. Falcons are a 3-point favorite in this one, and I do agree with that. Detroit, however, really did a number on the New York Giants. The New York Giants offensive line really struggled into an average Detroit Lion defense. And I say that again with an average defense. They do have an average defense. They're not that dominant. Unless if they can prove themselves again against the Falcons, I cannot buy Detroit's defense here. But they were lucky to fortunate on Monday night they had to play a Giants team that their offensive line was really horrific. Atlanta's running game is still going to be the key in this one here. The Detroit Lions are a little bit one-dimensional. I mean, it's all Matthew Stafford and passing and all. That's one of the key things here for the Detroit Lions if they're going to win this game, because really Detroit really needs a running game, and they really need it badly right now as well as improving their defense here. But as far as this game goes, you got to go with the Atlanta Falcons here. I cannot buy Detroit Lions defense. I think they're average. They're not that dominant, and Atlanta's running game I think will run over all of that defense of Detroit, and as well as Matt Ryan lighting it up in the air. So yeah, I got to go with the Atlanta Falcons here. I think Atlanta's offense will be too much for Detroit. Detroit will get worn out very easily in this game. Yeah, got to go with the Falcons here. Falcons over the Lions. Key game number 2, the Kansas City Chiefs at the Chargers. Kansas City's a 3-point favorite in this one, and I do agree with that. They're 2-0 right now, and they really did a great job against the Eagles last week. They did really slow down their offense here. They're not going to have much trouble here against the Chargers here. The Chargers in the last 2 games, I mean, I give them credit in week 1. They really made it a game against Denver, but last week against the Dolphins was pathetic. It was really pathetic. Their offensive line has not changed one bit. They're really horrific. Rivers has no protection at all. And they're just playing way too, they're just basically slowing the ball down here. They don't have much of a running game. Wide receivers they don't have a problem with. But the problem is, though, they seriously need a running game, and their offensive line just can't protect Rivers. This has not stopped. This has been a major problem for the Chargers these last 4 seasons, and it hasn't changed. And it's really tough to say right now for this Charger team whether they're going to get better. Their defense isn't all that good either. You're basically, they have both sides of the ball. They're just not playing well. And Kansas City right now, they're playing at a pretty high level right now, and it could not come at a worse time for the Chargers now, because the Chargers now in danger of falling on 0-3 and pretty much out of playoff contention. So this is going to be another easy pick here. Kansas City's a 3-point favorite in this one. Yeah, you got to go with the Chiefs here. I mean, the Chiefs' offense is just too good. It's just gonna really dismantle the Chargers' defense. Chargers' offense just really, they can't click. The offensive line is horrible. Rivers is going to keep on getting sacked. I mean, this is a game that really, this is kind of a no-brainer. Chiefs are going to win this one pretty easily here. Chiefs over the Chargers. Key game number 3, the Sunday night game. The Oakland Raiders at the Washington Redskins. The Raiders are a 3-point favorite in this one. That number probably might drop, but it'll probably stay at 3 points probably at this point. The Raiders, these first 2 games, look, they were playing a Tennessee team in a terrible AFC South division. I mean, the Titans really did not make it a game against the Raiders in the second half in week number 1. And in week number 2, they played a sorry Jets team. A team that is probably more likely going to get the first draft pick in next year's draft. This is a game I think now where the Raiders might end up playing a little bit more of a tougher opponent here. But the way Washington played against the Rams last week, I mean, I give the Redskins some credit. Their offense finally clicked in the game against the Rams. And then again, like I said, the Rams, they're not that great of a team this year. I mean, they may have blown out the Colts in week number 1, but last week they really struggled against the Redskins. Redskins are a pretty average team here. So a lot of you might think, okay, look, Raiders do have a good passing game, and their running game is getting a little better here. Washington's offense is clicking here. This game, I'm predicting here it's actually going to be an offensive shootout here. I think it's going to be a very, very close game here. I'm going to go out on the upset here. I think this is where the Raiders are going to finally run into a wall where they're going to end up actually playing end up getting into a good football game here. And this is why I know that a lot of you say no because you just hate the Raiders and all and say, I don't know. I'm getting a sense there might be an upset in this game here. Raiders are favored by 3 points, yes. But I'm somehow getting a sense that Washington, especially their home opener here, I think they're going to upset the Raiders here. But don't get me wrong, this is not a sure pick here. And I expect this to be a good game here too. I think it's going to be really good. It's going to go back and forth, I think, in this game. Because the Raiders defense, it's still one of their Achilles heels. as well as Washington's. So I'm expecting a back and forth game here. So it should be a good one on Sunday night. And I'm going to go on the upset here. I think the Redskins will beat the Raiders here. But like I said, this is not a sure pick, but I'm going to stick with it. Redskins over the Raiders. And key game number 4, Dallas Cowboys and the Arizona Cardinals. Both teams are 1-1. So far, a lot of questions for these teams. A lot of questions for both teams here on both sides of the ball. I mean, Dallas played dominant in week 1, even though it wasn't that much of a high-scoring game, but they fall flat on their bottoms last week against the Broncos here. Arizona, they had to really play into kind of they had to come from behind against a Colts team that really isn't that good. Very, very, very interesting for both of these teams here. Now, I know Arizona probably needs this more than Dallas. The Cowboys know they're a much better team here. But if you look at it this way, the NFC West is not that strong. There's only really 2 good teams in that division. And that's the Seahawks and the Cardinals. I don't expect the 49ers to compete much this year. And the Rams, you don't know what kind of team you're going to get out of them. So either way, but going back to this one, I'm babbling here a little bit here. Cowboys have a much better offense than the Cardinals do. Cowboys defense, a little bit of questions here. If Arizona can make it a game here, if their offense can click here. Because Carson Palmer in the first 2 games hasn't been playing well. And a lot of questions on both sides of the ball for the Arizona Cardinals here. I'm going to pick the Dallas Cowboys here. The Cowboys, I think, will get back on track. Arizona's offense and defense, they're pretty average here. And I don't think that Derek Prescott's going to have another bad game here. I think this is a game he's going to get back on track, as well as Ezekiel Elliott. Well, like I said, there's no question. I have no answers or questions right now at this time what the NFL has done yet in terms of what kind of action they'll take against Ezekiel Elliott, because the suspension has been put on hold. But I don't know what the league will do. But other than that, but I'm still going to stick with the Cowboys here. That's kind of going off topic there. I just think, look, assuming that Elliott does play in this game, that's assuming. Their offense is going to click. They're going to click in this game. I don't see Derek Prescott going to have another bad game. I don't see that happening. I think this is a game he's going to bounce back here, and I like the Cowboys in this one. Cowboys over the Cardinals. All right, that wraps up my picks for week number 3. For all of my week 3 picks, go to thesportblog.blogspot.com. All my picks will be there. And I will see you all next week when I talk about my picks for week number 4. And until then, everybody, take care and enjoy your football week.